Honestly, to all the people who start every public event now with one of those land acknowledgements where they say, I'm standing on land that was stolen from the proud indigenous people of the Chumash tribe, I say either give it back or shut the fuck up. AOC says so many people in this country hate women. Oh, geez. Even the guy at the party who pulls out a guitar is like, way to ruin the fun.
Bill Maher just torched a crew of self-proclaimed woke elites, and he didn't bother with politeness. No filter, no fluff, just verbal arson. These are the same folks who drape themselves in activism while secretly scoffing at anything remotely patriotic. They say they love America, but their actions scream otherwise. Maher wasn't there to play nice. He came armed with facts, fury, and sarcasm sharp enough to cut through every phony virtue signal in the room. What followed was a truth-packed monologue, so scorching it could have emptied an Ivy League lecture hall. No script, no safety net, just unfiltered fire, and not a soul left unscathed.
And that is what's so odd about this time that we're living in. For all the talk about fighting for the soul of America, nobody seems to like it very much. Too many liberals give the impression that to them, America is just a big, ugh. The red, white, and ew. A country that started out bad and will always be bad, founded on an unrelenting history of sucking.
So what sparked Bill Maher's no-holds-barred takedown? Simple hypocrisy in full display. Maher called out a group of liberal elites for trashing the very country that gave them the platform to preach. This wasn't gentle critique. It was venom. He dragged their narrative through the mud, flipped it, and served it back with a side of reality. But the real punch came when he lit into how their constant negativity is poisoning the next generation. Instead of raising kids to believe in change, progress, and resilience, Maher argued these so-called visionaries are feeding them a toxic cocktail of victimhood and resentment. He accused them of raising a generation of skeptics who hate their own country before they even get the chance to improve it. And that's when things went nuclear. Maher didn't just push buttons. He ripped the whole control panel out. If kids grow up thinking their country is broken beyond repair, Maher asked, what reason do they have to defend it, fix it, or even care if it burns? That, he said, is a real poison infecting public discourse. What he said next, it left jaws on the floor and a whole lot of egos in pieces.
We have changed a lot. Democrat Cori Bush tweeted, this land is stolen land and black people still aren't free. And this was on the 4th of July. Really? Not that I give a shit about the 4th of July. I've never been a rah-rah guy. But I am a perspective guy. And that's what too much of the left has lost, perspective. 72% of black people under 30 are optimistic about their future in America. Way more than white people the same age. And as far as the land goes, yes, I guess we could change the name of Captain America to Captain Stolen Land.
Bill Maher set his sights on Congresswoman Cori Bush and didn't just roast her, he torched her entire worldview. He laid it out on a platter and lit it on fire. According to Maher, Bush and much of the progressive squad have lost all grip on reality. They're swimming in identity politics and marinating in self-loathing so thick, it's practically become their brand. Maher's take? Their arguments aren't grounded in facts anymore. They're propped up by vibes, hashtags, and carefully curated victimhood. And that's where things get dark. He accused them of replacing truth with emotionally charged narratives designed to divide, not inform. Hard data gets tossed aside if it doesn't fit the story. Every moment is a performance. Loud speeches, viral tweets, and layers of symbolism. But when it comes to actual solutions, silence. The result? A generation led by confusion instead of clarity, a nation fracturing into factions, and movement so obsessed with its own reflection, it doesn't even notice the wreckage in its wake. Then Maher went full savage. He dropped a line that made the entire studio freeze. Asterisk, if you really believe America was built on stolen land, then stop virtue signaling and give it back. Asterisk, no apologies, no sugarcoating, just brutal, unfiltered logic with enough voltage to short-circuit a protest rally.
Honestly, to all the people who start every public event now with one of those land acknowledgements where they say, I'm standing on land that was stolen from the proud indigenous people of the Chumash tribe, I say either give it back or shut the fuck up.
Bill Maher didn't stop at Cori Bush. He went deeper, way deeper. He ripped into the social media warriors who slap land acknowledgments in their bios while sipping oat milk lattes on the very land they claim is stolen. And he wasn't subtle. He called out the double standard loud and clear. You can't call your ancestors criminals, profit off everything they built, and then pretend a carefully worded paragraph makes it right. Maher's message was blunt. This kind of guilt is fake. It's not solidarity. It's performance. A guilt-soaked fashion statement designed to score likes, not spark change. And let's be honest, the selective outrage helps no one. It doesn't feed a single hungry family. It doesn't fix a single broken policy. All it does is fan the flames of drama, division, and chaos, just the way the outrage industry likes it. Maher didn't flinch when he drove the point home. If you truly believe what you're preaching, then act on it. Sell your house. Relocate. Donate the land. Otherwise, admit it's just another trendy chant in a never-ending carousel of empty moral posturing. Simple, brutal, devastating, and long overdue.
AOC says so many people in this country hate women. Oh, geez. Even the guy at the party who pulls out a guitar is like, way to ruin the fun.
Just when you thought it couldn't get hotter, boom! Bill Maher turns a flamethrower on Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and he doesn't hold back. He questions whether AOC even knows what's happening outside her Twitter feed. Maher reminds everyone, yes, America has its flaws, but let's get some perspective. Women here can vote, launch companies, speak out, dress how they want, lead movements. That's not just freedom, that's power. Now contrast that with countries where women are jailed for removing a hijab, where they need permission just to leave the house. Maher didn't just call out hypocrisy. He put privilege under a microscope and let the facts do the screaming. So when AOC boldly claims that America hates women, Maher practically chokes on the irony. What alternate universe is she living in? He didn't just question her logic, he exposed it. Because statements like that don't just twist the truth, they distort how an entire generation sees reality. And Maher, he's not letting that kind of distortion slide without a fight.
Congressman Jamal Bowman says capitalism is slavery by another name. No, it's not. It's the thing that has given more people more prosperity and hope than any other system, flawed though it surely is. But
Maher says this kind of rhetoric convinces young women they're living in some dystopian nightmare, when in reality, they're in one of the freest societies on earth. They have rights, platforms, protection, and power. Yet they're being taught to see themselves as permanent victims. That's not empowerment. Maher argues that's manipulation. And hypocrisy, it only goes deeper. Jamal Bowman and Bernie Sanders are out here railing against the evils of the oligarchy, waving their fists at billionaires like they're Marvel villains. But Maher asks the question no one on their side dares to. Asterisk, what about your own crew? Asterisk, because the truth is, the Democratic Party is stacked with billionaires, not just donors, but power players actively shaping the game. George Soros, Michael Bloomberg, Reid Hoffman. These aren't just names on donation lists. They fund campaigns, push narratives, and help steer the ship. So if Bowman and Bernie are truly serious about breaking elite control, maybe it's time they stop pretending not to see the billionaires fueling their own political rise. Maher didn't sugarcoat it. He called it exactly what it is. Preaching revolution while standing on a stage built by the very class you claim to fight against.
But again, something like the free market is kind of synonymous with America. And if you don't like it, I don't know how you can say you love this country. You know who loves this country? You know who's not constantly complaining about what happened 200 years ago and who's not obsessed with seeing America through shit-colored glasses and shaking off the stench of what irredeemable, privileged assholes we are? Immigrants.
It's not just contradiction. It's political theater at its finest. And Bill Maher just tore the curtain down. If you're truly against the oligarchy, he argued, then stop pretending it only lives at Mar-a-Lago. Maher said it plain. Both parties have billionaires in their back pockets. The difference? Only one side parades theirs around like ethical saints. Newsflash, a billionaire with a blue sticker doesn't suddenly become a moral compass. And here's the real kicker. If America is truly as awful, evil, and irredeemable as some claim, then riddle me this. Why are people still risking everything just to get here? Why are families from Africa, Asia, and South America scraping together coins, sometimes living on literal pennies, for a one-way chance to step on U.S. soil? They're not chasing a fantasy. They're chasing freedom, hope, possibility. That fact alone should shut down half the self-loathing monologues flooding social media and echoing through college lecture halls. Because from the outside, America isn't a dystopia. It's a lifeline. While some sit in air-conditioned apartments cry about systemic this and problematic that, others are dodging war zones, crossing deserts, and sailing across oceans just for a shot at standing in line here. That's perspective. And Maher just dropped it like a bomb.
Ask any of them why they came here, and they will tell you the same thing. Ron DeSantis put me on a plane. But they will also tell you that America, for all that's so shitty about it right now, is still the last best hope. And those people asking for our votes to take it over should remember.
Maher's point cuts deep. The ability to criticize America without fear is a privilege. Try calling out the government in North Korea, Iran, or even parts of China. You don't just get canceled, you vanish. That's the contradiction the so-called woke squad can't seem to process. They attack the system while living under the very freedoms that allow them to scream into microphones without consequence. And if Democrats want a shot in 2028, Maher says, they better snap out of their doomsday trance. Yes, America has problems, but painting it like a hopeless hellscape? That didn't fly in 2024. Voters weren't buying the constant pity parties, the cultural guilt trips, or the endless lectures about how ashamed they should feel for existing. What did voters want? Honesty, not despair. Pride, not pity points. And they made that clear by casting their ballots for Trump. If Democrats want even a chance at turning things around, Maher argues they need to stop wrapping patriotism in disclaimers and start showing some real, unapologetic love for this country. Not just during photo ops, not just with flag pins and polished speeches. Real, visible loyalty. Because here's the truth. Patriotism isn't performative, it's expected. Americans don't want leaders who moan about the country like it's a lost cause. They want leaders who build, uplift, and lead with grit, not guilt. The sooner Democrats understand that loving your country isn't a betrayal of progress, but the very foundation of it, the sooner they can begin to earn back the trust they spent years setting on fire.
I think you can believe that you could have shorter elections in America, but it's not like we don't know. In Britain, for instance, when you have a short election, it's not like you don't know who the leader of the party is for months and years before that.
But you're either the person who's Googling the day before, did Biden drop out, or you know in a week. You know, did anyone in this audience not know enough about Kamala Harris pretty much after a week to make a decision? Yeah, people. I mean, it's ridiculous. We just get sicker of them.
Then Maher swerved hard. Target locked on an MSNBC pundit who claimed Kamala Harris just needed more time for voters to understand her. Maher practically laughed out loud. Understand her? That was the problem, he said. America did get to know Kamala, and that's exactly why things fell apart. According to Maher, it wasn't a lack of visibility. It was a lack of appeal. Her messaging? Tone deaf. Her delivery? Robotic. Maher argued she came off less like a relatable leader and more like a walking talking point dipped in ideological jargon. Every speech felt like it was written by a committee of consultants trying to win a sociology debate, not connect with real people. Bottom line, Kamala didn't need more time. She needed authenticity, and Maher made that brutally clear. He didn't just question her appeal, he dismantled it piece by piece. Her policies? Out of touch and completely divorced from reality. Maher said they sounded like they were cooked up in elite progressive think tanks and spoon-fed to voters as ideological mush. The result? Speeches full of buzzwords, zero substance. Voters aren't asking for poetic slogans. They're asking for change they can feel. And Kamala, Maher says, delivered nothing but echo chamber energy.
Oh, you consider yourself a liberal, right?
I consider myself an old school liberal. You have to make that distinction now because, you know, the word woke, which started out as a good thing, being alert to injustice, and a lot of people get triggered by the word because when they hear it, they think of the old meaning, which was good.
Right.
You know, stay woke. But I'm sorry, language is a living, breathing entity. Words change and they migrate and they take on a different meaning. And woke now has to answer for, or for people have just used the word to ascribe a number of extreme things on the left.
Maher's final verdict on Kamala Harris was nothing short of brutal. The more people saw of her, the less faith they had. She didn't need more airtime. She needed a full political reset, a total overhaul. Being seen didn't help. It hurt. But Maher wasn't done throwing punches. He turned his spotlight onto the modern woke left and lit it on fire. What started as a movement rooted in justice and inclusion, he said, has mutated into something toxic. It's no longer about lifting people up. It's about shutting people down, a joyless, puritanical crusade where every word is policed, every thought dissected, and one wrong move means instant exile. This isn't unity. It's intimidation. And people are bailing fast, comedians, thinkers, artists, even lifelong liberals. Not because they've suddenly become conservatives, but because they no longer recognize what the left has become. What once flew as a banner of freedom now feels like a straitjacket. And Maher isn't whispering this. He's shouting it, loudly, because if the left doesn't wake up soon, they're not just losing voters. They're losing their identity. The movement that once stood for tolerance now leads digital witch hunts. The side that once championed open dialogue now cancels anyone who dares to disagree. Maher himself has become living proof of the exodus, not shouting from within, but warning from the edge. He's standing at the crossroads, sounding the alarm, and it's deafening. The woke left hasn't just lost momentum, it's lost itself. And more people are heading for the exits before the whole thing burns to ash. That wraps today's takedown. If that truth hit different, don't just scroll. Drop your thoughts and comments, smash that like button, and subscribe so you never miss another savage deep dive, exposed narrative, or brutally honest breakdown. Thanks for watching, and trust me, the next one's gonna get even messier. See you then.